Hi, my name's Jacquetta Szathmari, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about what it's like to be a first timer coming to Fringe from out of town. I've been at Fringe every year since it started. I'm from New York City, and I have done one person shows every single year that I have self produced, and I've had very little help doing so. So I've just jotted down a few notes here of things that I think might help you or assure you and make you feel a little bit better about coming from out of town to do Fringe. First of all, the Fringe is a very open community, and the more time you put into getting into that community ahead of time, the easier it will be when you do arrive. So, for example, an easy way to get involved in the community while you're still out of town is to get involved with Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. If you use the hashtag HFF2014, you'll find all kinds of people online, and you can start engaging in the community right away. Whenever I talk to people from out of town, the first obstacle they want to talk about is lodging. Every year I come out, I rent a place through Airbnb. I've rented entire apartments. I've rented a room in someone's house before, and it's always worked out to be somewhere around $65 a night for me. So if you're looking for something through Airbnb, I suggest that you get right on it and you look for something that is as close to Fringe as you can get if you're not going to be using a vehicle. I have a driver's license, but I prefer not to drive when I'm in Los Angeles because the traffic is crazy and parking is, quite frankly, a pain in the ass. I use public transportation out there and I have never really had a problem with it, but I also make sure that I rent properties that are close to Santa Monica Boulevard. Santa Monica Boulevard has a range of buses that run frequently throughout the day and night, and that can get you to most of the theaters that are close to Fringe and near Fringe Central, or at least it'll get you in an area where you can walk to the other theaters. If you're planning on renting a car, I would suggest Fox Car Rental. They're the cheapest game in town as far as I know, and they're located at the airport. You can also use Zipcar. There are Zipcars all over the place, and they're pretty easy to use. I've used them, and as long as you can find parking, you're going to be okay. If you are going to use public transportation, I recommend buying a Metro Pass. I believe that they're $20 a week, and you can pick them up at town halls, or you can pick them up also at different supermarkets. If you go to metro.net, you can get all the information you need about taking the buses and also the subway system. When I'm not able to use either, if I'm in a hurry, I have used Taxi Magic. That's an app that will help you call for a taxi in Los Angeles. It's not like New York or Boston or some other places where you can hail a taxi. Most taxis that you see going by have already been booked by somebody else. So Taxi Magic is a great app to have on your phone. I believe it's available for both iPhone and Android. And there are also other services that are alternatives to taxi services. I haven't used them myself, but I've heard good things about them. There's Uber, Lyft, which is Lyft, and there's another service called Sidecar. So while I can't vouch for these, you can do your own research online and see what other people have said about them. I like taking public transportation, and I haven't had any problem with that at all. But I also stay in West Hollywood, where there's a lot of public transportation heading towards the Fringe direction. Advertising is another thing that people are concerned about. People want to know, how can I get the word out about my show when I'm not in the area? First of all, Twitter is a great way to do it. If you don't have a dedicated Twitter account for your show, you should get one. If you're a solo performer, I would recommend using the one that you use for yourself if you use it for all of your projects. If you already have a following, that's great. Also, Instagram is a great way to get the word out. If you put up pictures and then tag it, it can get retweeted or end up on Facebook. And also, Facebook is another way to engage with a Fringe audience. You need to find your audience in Los Angeles, just like you need to do that anywhere. And I've done that by doing my research online. So, for example, if my show was about an African-American woman who was queer, I'd be looking for African-American women's and queer organizations in the Los Angeles area that I could reach out to, ask them if they can help me promote my show. I'd be prepared to give them discounts. I'd be prepared to engage with them in any way that they would like to, so that I can get the word out about my show. Once you get there, of course, you're going to need postcards. Now, postcards are very important because At Fringe Central, there's an area dedicated to postcards. There are postcards all over the tables. All of the theaters do usually encourage people to give postcards, leave them there. Even if you're not showing at that theater, there may be room for you to put out your postcards. Definitely have postcards. I've had mine shipped to me where I'm staying. I've had them shipped to theaters before. I've had them shipped to friends. People always ask how many postcards. I don't do that many. I usually get between 500 and 1,000 postcards. But I'm not very aggressive about giving them out either, and I'm not very aggressive about putting them around. I have found over the years that a lot of Fringe shows are having more and more posters, anywhere from, I think, the kind of, is it 11 by 14, and then maybe even the standard Broadway size posters. You can have those printed up before you come and bring them with you, but there are also a lot of copy shops around LA. And I've had a lot of luck in the past using Vistaprint and Prints Made Easy and having my things shipped to me. In addition to having all of your advertisements printed out, you're also going to want to make sure to bring all your files with you. If you get there and you find that you need to print anything else, you can have everything done and printed up very easily at either Kinko's, I think Staples, and then there's some other more hardcore copy shops around that can do quick overnight printing if you need it. But try to assess how much you're going to need before you get there, because it's a lot of paper, and paper costs a lot of money. At the end of every Fringe, there's always just so much paper thrown out. So really just try to be mindful of your wallet and I guess of the environment when you're doing your printing. Another good way to get the word out is to cross-promote. There are about 70 different shows, I think, at the Asylum's many theaters. And it would be worth your while to go online and see if there are any shows that are similar to your shows that might want to do some cross promotion with you, either before or during the Fringe. Another good thing to have is your press kit online that's downloadable. This may be an obvious thing, and I've been producing for years. I never really had thought about having it online and having a hidden URL for it. That way, if someone wants to get your information, they can quickly get it from you. In the past, I've gotten decent press just from having my things ready to go. There are always reporters around, there are always media outlets around, and if they can get your information really quickly, you're going to be the one that gets a shout out in the paper or online. While you're at Fringe, it's really important to always be representing your brand, and a great way to do that is to hang out at Fringe Central. Fringe Central is kind of like the big top of Fringe. There's a bar there, there's a cabaret stage there, and you can perform on that cabaret stage, and that is a great way to get people interested in your show. The cabaret stage is run by Bella Luna, and there is a Facebook group on Facebook, and I think it's called Fringe Cabaret Stage. So I encourage you to join that and connect with them on Twitter as well. I've literally done a 10-minute piece from my show about an hour before my show and gotten audience members to come in from that. People hang around Fringe looking for shows, trying to figure out what they want to see. Not everybody has purchased their show online. Literally, people just show up at, say, 5 o'clock after work, and they're like, I want to see a bunch of shows. What's going on? And if your show is the first thing that catches their eye, then that's what they're going to see. So you shouldn't be discouraged if you're not getting a lot of sales online before the festival starts, because it's very random. I see about 40 to 50 shows every year, and I rarely, if ever, buy any of the tickets online. It's just kind of what I'm feeling like that day and what's available and what catches my eye. What else was I going to say? So, opening night party is another way to drum up some interest in your show. It's a big opening night party. If you have characters in your show that are very distinctive, I suggest that you come as your character to Fringe. I've had pictures taken there that have ended up in the LA Weekly. Friends of mine who have very flamboyant costumes have ended up getting things written up about them just by being at the open night party. People take pictures of them, Instagram it, Twitter it, and the word just gets out, and it becomes, I hate to use the word viral, but, it starts to catch on that way. Definitely be around as much as possible. Because you're from out of town, nobody knows who you are, so you really have an opportunity to make a big splash just by being around. See as many other people's shows as you can. Invite people to come and see your show. Be prepared to give discounts. and be prepared to receive discounts as well in return. If you have shows that are early in the festival, it's always a good idea to fill seats, especially if you have press coming, with other Fringe participants, and be ready to return the favor for them. I can't think of anything else to say. My first year at Fringe was definitely very nerve-wracking, and I didn't have the kind of sales I thought I would have, but I enjoyed myself and I learned from the experience, and I'm just trying to share some of the things that I've learned there. My name is Jacquetta Szathmari, and my show this year is going to be called That Old Black Magic. You're all welcome to come see it, and I would love to see all of your shows. In addition to participating in the Hollywood Fringe every year, I've also participated in the United Solo Festival, and I run a festival called the Festival of the Offensive, which takes place every year in New York City, and is a self-produced independent festival, much like a Fringe, where people are invited to present the most offensive work they can come up with. So I'm all about self-producing. I really enjoy it, and I hope that this video has been helpful. You're free to contact me at jacquettas@gmail.com, jacquettas@gmail.com, or you can find me online at www.biggunsbigtobacco.com. I look forward to meeting you all at Fringe. Thanks.